Welcome everybody to Daily Census Explained, where we explain the story in more detail, but in a fun way, so you can know the backstory and how the inspiration came for each episode and each chapter. Thank you guys for listening.
Welcome back, everyone, to Chapter 6 of Daily Census Explained. This one is Repercussions. So we've now kind of come to the end of the initial investigation and what was going on with the death of the babies, and now we're looking at all the fallout that's happened from that. And so one of the big things that's happening here is that we find out that Snipes thinks that Reuben Rose is completely incompetent and at blame for hiring nurses that don't know what they're doing. And so, lots of blame shifting going on. She wants him to fire all the nurses that were working in the NICU that night. And really, she's just kind of putting on a show to show, hey, I'm in control and we're going to shift and change everything. We're going to have a new start. But she's really not thinking about she's thinking about her long-term picture and her survival. But she's really not thinking about the unintended consequences of getting rid of all these experienced people, what's going to happen further down the road with staffing. And on top of that, they're putting in all kinds of new policies and things that make it more difficult for people to do their job, or just not only more difficult, but also just less enjoyable. And not that all jobs have to be fun all the time, but if you make it really miserable, you're going to lose people. And exactly. So you start to lose some of your good people because they are just like, I'll go somewhere else and do the same in a better atmosphere. And so they're really starting to have a serious staffing issue out of that. And that's going to really come into play soon after this. Because, like I said, stricter policies come in and revamping the staff, terminating people. It just lowers morale, too, and people will leave because of that, too, because they're like, this place sucks to work now. I don't want to be here anymore. And unless you're really desperate to stay, and you don't always want the desperate people because they are not always as good at the job. So really, she thinks she's fixing things, but at least in my experience of watching things like this happen, she's really setting up bigger problems later. The short fix seems to be leading to much bigger problems. And I don't know if you saw these I'm sure you all seen these types of things in other organizations, but I don't know if you saw this happen at hospitals too, due to
this incidents. Type of situations happen in all organizations. I work for the post office. This happened.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. In the hospitals, it's always those up top who have the say in what happens, and that when shit rolls downhill. They're the ones yes. who make these policies to affect those on the lower hierarchy of the system, and it does affect it. In this situation, firing the nurses, implementing new policies. This was to appease, like you say, the media and the family members to say, hey, we're trying to rectify this situation. But most time, it does have a longer term effect in those situations. Again, it's easier to quit and go somewhere else, but it's harder to bring someone on to these new work conditions. It's horrible. And I agree with what she wants to do and make these changes, but the way she's going about it is all wrong.
What I wanted to show was disconnect from a CEO level to the nurses actually doing the work on the floor. To her, it's all about immediately changing the poor plan of correction, because she has a board of directors that she has to deal with.
Right.
And all they want to know is, okay, the baby's died. Maybe this is a one-off. What are your plan of corrections to fix this? And Reuben being the CNO, the chief nurse officer, it all falls on him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking no further than him. She don't care about the ICU director. She don't care about the charge nurse. That has nothing to do with it. She don't talk to those people. She sees him every day.
Yeah.
So you figure it out. You do the new policies. Well, we're going to lose good nurses and it's going to be hard to get experience. I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's short term for her. She has to give an answer now. So I'm showing you the disconnect between the people on the floor and the people in the office.
Yeah.
I've been both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now I know that the disconnect is there and she really doesn't care. She only cares about her job short term, because let's face it, she's not working another 10 years.
No, it's not about
She's
the
trying
people.
to get her money now. No, you're a number. When you're up at a certain point in management, they're just numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you really connect with them and really care about, but that's rare.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because you can always hire someone else.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes someone who has come up through the ranks might have a better understanding or be more empathetic to that. Sometimes not, because again, they're just trying to get their money now and keep their position. Sometimes they are, but it is really what, in my experience anyway, has separated the truly great leaders from just a boss.
And that's the difference between me and my peers at work.
Yeah,
I generally care about my staff because I've been where they were.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything they can do, I can do.
Yeah,
I have all the license and degrees. Only thing between me and them, I went to school more.
yeah,
I don't treat myself any different than them.
Mm-hmm.
I treat them the same. I treat them as men,
yeah,
and I treat them with respect, but I want respect back.
right.
And I'm going to demand it back. But other than that, I do what I say going to do. I treat them well. I treat them with respect, and we go, because you cannot fake being a leader. You know, not everybody leader are men. Mm-hmm. Thank God the military actually trained us for that.
Yeah.
But not everybody leader are men. You know, some people are followers, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes I talk into the affirmative, but I'm not being aggressive. I'm just telling you exactly how it should be. No bullshit, no chasing, you know?
Yeah.
And then what most men will respect that. As long as you do what you say you're going to do, men or women, they'll follow you. Mm-hmm. And then treat them with respect. That's all. But a lot of people are not like that.
Yeah.
Once they get a certain area, they look at them as insubordinates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I'm here and you're there, you're insubordinate. That's not right. Mm-hmm. Only just between you and them, you went to college. And you probably got more fucking debt than they got because you went to college.
Yeah.
You're no different than them. And that's what people got to understand. And her, she definitely disconnected.
Yep.
Yeah, Ruben tried. He tried. Are you sure? All the nurses? Like, he tried to put something in there to, kind of make her second guess, but she wasn't going for it.
No, because she has a board director. She had to protect her own ass. Remember, CYA, cover your own ass. Mm-hmm. Board director's coming sooner or later.
Yeah.
That call will come.
Now, of course, and again, as we said, a true leader might have told the board that, and then really done a lot of research as to, okay, talking to all the department heads, figuring out how this
She didn't have
work,
that time.
and, yeah.
She didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Once the press and everything there, remember, we're talking about babies.
Right.
I can see one person died in another ICU. That's different. But infants
All
in the
of them.
beginning, all of them,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to do.
Heads that gotta
Yeah,
roll.
you got to do this quick.
Yeah.
Because it's a press conference coming.
And much like, the I don't care, get it done attitude, the board doesn't want to hear, hey, if we fire all these people now, what comes down the road?
What they got to do with them?
Yep.
They can get another CEO.
Yeah.
What they got to do with them?
Similar
It's about money.
Yep. I talked about Big Brothers Big Sisters before. This COO that I worked with, he wanted us to make matches because matches were money. And even if they weren't good matches, and we would always push back that, hey, your retention rate is going to be garbage because they're not good matches. They're not going to get along. They're not going to last. Mm-hmm. And he didn't want to hear that. He just wanted to hear make the matches now because he was looking at the upfront numbers. But in the long term, it was actually really hurting the organization.
But that's what they judging him on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody got a boss, and they were judging him on that.
Yep.
I mean, it's numbers you got to have.
It's
Exactly.
forcing the puzzle pieces, but the big picture will never form.
Yeah, I have numbers I have to do.
Yeah.
And my companies, it's numbers I want to see done.
Right.
I mean, it's bottom line, I'm here to make money.
Which is why, admittedly, in all the many organizations I've worked in my life, from huge corporations to small nonprofits, it is a wonder to me that any single one of them have lasted as long as they have. Mm-hmm. Because with the just organizational chaos I have seen at all of them, individual departments might be amazing, but organizations as a whole are generally a fucking mess.
Now imagine us coming from military to civilian world.
Oh, right.
Where everything was organized.
Right.
And that's why they got the TAP class. You got to have a transition period because it really just
Blows
freaked
your
me
mind.
out when I look how everything's so unorganized, yet they still making money.
Right.
Then you figure out later all the loopholes.
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
sit back
yeah.
and say, wow, how is this happening?
Yeah. And then, of course, government organizations, that's a whole nother thing. So
Yes, sir.
we won't get into that right now. But what I did want to point out about this chapter is this is where we do find out that the NICU nurses that were on duty that night are being tried for manslaughter.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
got arrested, yeah.
we don't ever meet them again. We don't ever hear from them again. but we do know that they are now in the trial, and I believe later on someone mentions jail time, and so we kind of know their fate here.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to dwell on that because
Yeah.
we had to keep the story moving forward.
Yes.
But I gave you snippets of what happened to him as the book went along.
Right.
So you're like, okay, that's what happened to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate in a good story is that there was enough description, even in just those few chapters of just a couple really, of who they were individually, that you got enough knowledge of who they were to have some empathy for them.
Yeah, I want them to be relatable.
Yeah.
Because everybody worked like that. And if he was in that situation, hopefully you wouldn't have left the babies like that. But, they tried to kick in.
Right.
They tried to do their training, but it's just one bad day.
Yeah. And you
One
feel bad
day
for them
to
because
make you go to jail for a long
again,
time.
it's someone else doing this. They are the victims of someone else's
Exactly.
crime.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they, again, did something wrong, everything probably would have been fine.
If one of them would have
this-
stayed there, it would have been okay. Because she never would have had the opportunity.
Right.
The person never had the opportunity to do that.
And
Or you would have saw everything cut off and definitely go in there and turn everything back on for the babies.
Right. And to be perfectly honest, in all likelihood, even if they'd all left the room and our killer didn't come in, everything probably would have been fine. It might not have been, and it wasn't okay for them to
Perfect
leave.
opportunity.
But that's part of the thing, is that it's not only about making sure everything is technically working properly, but it's that there's always that human factor, whether it's someone trying to do something intentionally or by mistake.
But that's why we have procedures in place.
Yeah, and that's why those things do exist, even though people balk at
I
them all
sound
the
so
time.
military. So we got procedures in plan, but this stuff doesn't happen. But that's the truth.
It is. And again, people will balk, and sometimes they seem dumb, and sometimes they are dumb, but
Until
often-
something like this happened, and now everybody want to do it.
and
It
sadly,
takes a death sometimes.
yeah. And sadly, often the dumb rules are because someone did something that dumb at some point.
Exactly.
It's like having disclaimers on certain things.
It was a plan of correction
Yep.
to make sure it don't happen again.
Yep.
POC.
Where it's on like a soap bottle, not edible or something. You're like, well,
Because
of course that's
somebody
obvious,
did
but-
it.
because someone did. So, yeah. So, but yeah, it's like I said, that to keep that always in your head in this, that, hey, these three nurses were the victims of someone else's action, their own negligence, but also someone else's action. And it's good to keep that in mind. And they mention that just as we start getting into talking about the 4th of July holiday coming up, and everyone asking for vacation time and how short-staffed. So all the seeds that were sown earlier are now
Come back to rear their head again. Yeah.
exactly. So that's where we're going to be when we come into chapter 7 next, is we're going to be moving into really the next stage in this story. So I look forward to sharing that with everyone coming soon.
So if you could just please assist us by hitting the like, subscribe, and notification buttons. You can also comment and share our content. These small things really help our channel, and it means a lot to us. That's going to be it for now. Until next time, remember, you are cherished by us.